Welcome to our spooky, spectacular Halloween special.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Spooky, scary skeletons.
So scary.
Of the Holy Huddle. Obviously, we got Spider-Man in the house today.
You got yours truly, Ethan Mailer, over there on the left side, and then you got the amazing and truly honored Spider-Man.
Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a street.
Yeah, Spider-Man decided to join us for an episode. Trying to figure out how to secret identity yet. I quite haven't uncovered that.
No, nobody shall know. Nobody will know. Sucks to be.
Let's get into last week's games. And
Sure.
Obviously, with the biggest news being Brian Kelly being fired from LSU down there in the Bayou after a massive butt-whooping down there in LSU by the A&M Aggies.
I was about to say, Brian Kelly got his ass whipped by Mike Yilgo and the Aggies, and they are now 8-0, and LSU is out of any kind of big-time competition that you could ever ask for.
Yeah, it's pretty bad for LSU at this point, but I think it's come to I think it's time to really reflect on what Brian Kelly did at his time in LSU. Obviously, the biggest accomplishment being he made the SEC championship with Jaden Daniels as a junior. Not the year Jaden Daniels won Heisman, of course. He did coach a Heisman player in Jaden Daniels, but it didn't result in anything.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I don't want to say Jaden Daniels carried Brian Kelly, but it almost seems like he carried Brian Kelly those first 2 years. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. First year, Kelly goes, 10-4, gets to the SEC championship, and then going to his second year, there was all kinds of expectations. I think they were like a top 5 team going into 2023, I believe. They went 10-3, I think, and then 2024, after, I don't know, just, after they lost to A&M, and then they were like on a 4 or 3 game losing streak after that. They couldn't really get the season back in front of them. And then this year with Garrett Nussmeier coming back, and it looked like LSU's defense was going to be pretty good. They just underperformed after a 4-0 start, and getting blown out 49-25 at home. I mean, that 25th point really didn't matter at the end. It was just a kind of a freebie. So yeah, it was interesting. It was good to see a lot maroon and white in Tiger Stadium in Death Valley at night. They weren't the ones going home early in Louisiana.
Yeah, and there's sort of this funny clip, I guess, surfacing around Brian Kelly having issues getting back into the facility for they had some 8 o'clock meeting that night to discuss him getting fired and to announce him, getting fired, whatever. It was just so goofy to see that, but it's kind of interesting to see who the next LSU coach is going to be, who's the next Florida coach is going to be. There's really some prime opportunities. There is some prime opportunity to go coach at a high tier program.
You know what would be incredible? If Coach O went back to LSU.
We want him back. Go Tigers.
Go get the next. Go get Joe Burrow 2.0 and run it back again.
I don't know where Joe Burrow is. He's made out of glass in the NFL right now. It's kind of sad to see.
He'll probably go into the portal, get Julian Sand from Ohio State, and he'll be Joe Burrow 2.0.
He'll get a random backup from Ohio State.
Yep.
I think he would do pretty well in this era of college football just because of the transfer portal. I think he's great at recruiting. Now, is he great at situational stuff and winning the game? Probably not. But I think...
Yeah, I mean, that's just being out there. I don't think LSU would hire Coach O again. In fact, I don't know if Ed Orgeron would really... I mean, he said he wants to get back to coaching. I believe he'll get a job
he's
somewhere.
One phone call away.
But I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a head coach again right away, because he's been honest and he said that he doesn't mind being a defensive lineman coach and then work back up again. But with all these job openings, I mean, the likelihood of him becoming a head coach again is could be really high.
Yeah, especially with all these job openings. I could see him somewhere down in if Florida State starts to struggle again, and Mike Norvell is sort of on the hot seat right now. at this point. And, you see all these job openings. I definitely see Florida in the cards for him, just because he's great. I miss Ed Ogeron in college football. I think we need him back. Days were a lot simpler. I mean, football was a lot more fun to watch, especially when Ed Ogeron was there. And it'll be fun to see where all these head coach openings start to fill. I don't think they'll start to fill until the end of the season. I don't think Kirk Cignetti's going anywhere with Indiana. I don't think Lane Kiffin's going anywhere.
I was going to say, there's been a lot of chatter about, is Lane Kiffin going to stay at Ole Miss or leave?
He's having a great season. He's definitely has his team on track to make the playoff.
Yeah, I don't see him. I mean, unless there's something astronomical out there, Lane's not leaving Oxford.
Yeah. It's just...
Kirk Cignetti just got the contract of his life at Indiana, so, yeah, he's not going anywhere.
I mean, Clark Lee's in discussions. I mean, I bet BYU's coach is in there.
Yeah.
I bet South Florida. I want Dave gone.
Dave Aranda will soon be in there.
He might be in the mix too. I don't even freaking know. It's just a very unpredictable coaching world. We never thought Brian Kelly would leave Notre Dame, and we might very well have one of those. This year. So,
but the one thing with, and we've kind of talked about it, but firing coaches, it's not even early in the year anymore. It's literally right in the middle of the season, maybe past the middle of the season. I just feel bad because whenever a head coach gets fired, a head coach could be, a lot of these head coaches get tremendous buyout money. So it's not like they're not going to have anything. But on the other side, you have to feel for the other coaches, the other assistant coaches, the entire program, because it's not just the head coach that's running everything. Everybody has their own job in place in the program and organization. And so when a head coach gets fired, that affects the entire tree of things.
Sometimes, you could be the one getting fired. Like LSU's offensive coordinator got fired as well.
Yeah, but when the head coach gets fired, it's not just the head coach, they understand, but you're also impacting it's not just like you can say, oh, fire this guy. No, you're gonna affect a lot of people. And also when you have to put in interim head coaches, that completely shifts everything. It just turns into chaos. And so, football's a business, I get it. But when a head coach gets fired, it's not like you can just say, oh, if they fired their coach, everything's gonna be better. Because then you've got to find a new leader, and just everybody is scrambling at one time trying to figure out something.
Yeah, it's kind of, that program becomes a mess for that year.
Yeah,
and I genuinely love to see where these programs go in the future. But let's move on to these recaps of games, and obviously, sort of to end on this coaching thing. There's some coaches I really want to see get back into coaching. Maybe some of these coaches are too old. I don't know, but I really want to see a guy like Art Briles get a second chance, but I think he's too old at this point. But it'll be fun to see what happens.
What would be really interesting to me if Virginia Tech went out and got Jimbo Fisher.
I hear Shane Beamer's connected to that job too, from what I hear.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a cool moment for him and his dad, obviously. John Gruden's in the conversation. I don't know what to think of that. He's never coached in college. College and the NFL are completely two different kinds of games.
He's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but so has Bill Belichick. Not comparing the two, but so has Bill Belichick. And look what's happening at North Carolina right now.
Yeah, and his situation was sort of bizarre on how he won a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a coach trade. The coach got traded. It's just weird. I don't remember the exact details, but I remember he got traded for some draft picks or something. It was just so weird. And he ended up winning the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay that year.
Honestly, what would be really interesting if Florida hired John Gruden if that happened. Uh-huh. That'd be interesting. Certainly would.
Yeah. And now let's discuss these next slate of games and sort of recap what went down this past week in college football. Indiana rolled over UCLA. That was not really a surprise, but that wasn't really a game we chose.
Mm-hmm.
Something that really surprised me is how close the South Carolina-Alabama game was, and how South Carolina had the chance to win, and they didn't win.
I thought Alabama was going to choke there. I really thought Sellers was going to pick him off.
Ty Simpson is really something.
But I have a question for South Carolina. South Carolina's got the lead, and I think there was like 40 seconds in the game. So Simpson throws a pass to Jeremy Bernard, and this South Carolina player, super smart, he lets Jeremy Bernard run down the sideline, chooses not to tackle him, and I'm just like, what is this dumbass doing?
Oh my goodness!
He let him go down the sideline. There was around 30 seconds on the clock. South Carolina's offense right now is not built to go down the field in less than 30 seconds. Maybe a minute, but not 30 seconds. And so it's like, you give them the score, you gave away the game. I thought that was one of the most stupidest plays I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Ever.
and then another one. Virginia winning by like literal inches against Bill Belichick's North Carolina. Literal inches, winning literal inches away from a massive upset in the ACC. But ultimately, Virginia figures out a way to get a stop. They win in overtime again. Virginia is a team that they just figure out ways to keep winning.
Well, I guess on the bright side for North Carolina, they're not completely dead. They showed some fight against the top 25 team. They still lost by 2. Which
one. They lost by 1.
Oh, lost by 1. Sorry, my bad. They lost by 1. But yeah, they choked again, like they have been this year.
And then another massive upset in the American Conference. Memphis took down South Florida in Memphis, Tennessee. The South Florida Bulls went down and got upset by the Memphis Tigers. And no one was giving Memphis any type of shot with, Memphis had some injuries and, South Florida looked really good for the majority of that game. And, Memphis came back and won. And sort of really, took South Florida's spot as that group of 5 contender.
Yeah, for sure. I still think South Florida is in the run for a lot of things. Memphis definitely kind of made a case there. It was a 1 game, but we'll see how they continue to do the rest of the way down the stretch. Do you want to go over some stats?
Yeah, and 17 unanswered points in that fourth quarter. We can go over some stats in that game, absolutely. Byron Brown, 269 passing yards for a touchdown and a pick, 26 for 43. Brennan Lewis for Memphis, 27 for 44 and 2 touchdowns. Byron Brown, also the leading rusher for 121.
He's the new
21
Haynes King.
carries and 2 touchdowns.
Haynes King.
Yeah, that's Haynes King right there. Except I really like Byron Brown's skill set a whole lot. Singleton for 7 receptions and 88 yards. Just a lot of running the ball. This felt like a playoff game.
You definitely like him on College Football 26.
Yeah, I love him. And it was just a back and forth game. It was really something fun to watch. And, love to see how these two teams do going forward in the American Conference. But, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Memphis, they beat Arkansas earlier in the year. That's not a huge win.
Don't slouch on that.
Yeah.
Don't slouch on that at all. And they're ranked 25 in the country at this point, at this juncture. And, looking at some other games, I want to look at the Houston-Arizona State game, a massive upset down there in Tempe, Arizona. Sam Levitt, goes down in the game. Houston, Connor Wickman shows his dual threat ability, passing for 201, playing some ball control football. 17 for 22 and 1 touchdown and 201, and 11 rushing yards for 21 and 2 touchdowns. And their leading receiver was Tanner Kotzel. 7 receptions, 1 touchdown, leading the way on the upset for Houston.
My guy, Connor Wickman, baby. Let's go.
I think he sort of found himself in Houston. He has himself a little identity.
Hell yeah.
He's running the ball. He's playing good ball control football. He's got his Houston Cougars 4-1 in the Big 12. Looking at Big 12 title, Big 12 title game.
Yeah.
Going over, I already went over the stats, but Sam Levitt, 18 for 35 and 270. Obviously, he went down in the game, and seventh or eighth year player Jeff Sims had to step in, and that's ultimately what led to Arizona going down.
Football.
What's your take on this?
On the Arizona State Houston game?
Yes.
Connor Wickman is an absolute dog, bro. He's been a dog, and he's proven it down in Cougar land. Yeah, I said a Sun Devil had more magical powers than a Cougar, but the Cougar bit his ass a little too much, and he eventually ran away. So Got him done, baby. Got him done there in the desert of Arizona State. Magical powers are gone.
Okay, and then another game we covered was the
They
Ole
got
Miss Oklahoma game.
candy taken away.
Yeah, especially near Halloween. Ole Miss beat Oklahoma 34-26 at Norman, Oklahoma. Lane Kiffin, I don't know if you saw this, but he sort of trolled a player after the game.
I saw it. I saw
He's
it.
like, this guy was, saying we wouldn't score on their defense at all. This guy was yelling at me the whole game. And obviously, he put up 34 points. So
Yeah, you're not going to beat Lane Kiffin much if you trash talk him pregame,
he takes stuff
likes to get on.
personally. He takes
Yeah.
stuff pretty personally.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Oklahoma falls to 6-2 and 2-2 in SEC play.
And I would argue for Oklahoma, they're for sure out of the Atlanta talk for the SEC championship. And I would also say there's a good chance that they don't make a playoff.
Yeah, it's looking highly unlikely at this point unless Oklahoma wins out. John Mateer, he looks solid. He didn't look terrible in that game, I will say, but he's still, trying to get healthy from that hand injury. But I think Ole Miss has one of the best resumes in all of the country. They beat so many ranked squads. They have one of the best resumes in the entire country. I have no reason to leave them out the playoffs. Their only loss being to Georgia. They beat LSU. They beat Tulane. They beat Arkansas. They beat Kentucky. They took down Oklahoma. They're playing South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, and then Mississippi State. They have a legit shot to run the table and make it to Atlanta.
Well, and I was going to say, too, looking at I'm not going to spell out the schedule because it's a little too long, but I would say Ole Miss has a really good chance going 11-1. Now, it's all going to. I think it's going to depend on how Alabama and A&M do, because if they win out, I think Alabama, they looked extremely vulnerable against South Carolina. Especially A&M could lose to anyone. I hope they don't. Love you, Aggies.
Love you, Aggies.
Yeah, they're gonna be paying close attention to Alabama and A&M, because if
They
one
need
of
a
those
loss
teams,
from them.
yeah, obviously, well, and what the key factor is, though, is both those two. Alabama has one loss, but that was out of conference play against Florida State, which is not aging really well at all. A&M's undefeated, 5-0. So Ole Miss,
doing some special things this year. A&M is, and we'll actually get to that game in a minute. But yeah, I love Ole Miss's shot of making the playoffs. They look like a real playoff contender. Something I didn't think they would be this year with the turnover at quarterback and, sort of losing one of the most talented quarterbacks in school history in Jackson Dart.
Right.
It kind of sucks. But moving on to what I would say the death of the Tigers. This has sort of been an interesting story for them. The Tigers ultimately lost. They had it close in the game for a little bit until Marcel Reed took over with his legs in that game and really made a difference.
Well, and there's also a guy named KC Concepcion who absolutely put them in their place. I just wanted to say that.
KC Concepcion has been really good.
Cassius Howell is, I think, top 3 defensive end in the entire country. I think he has like 10 and a half sacks already this year. Something crazy like that. Marcel Reed obviously is playing. He's not the most accurate quarterback, but he gets the ball to his playmakers, and that's what you want at the end of the day. Winning football.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't have to be fancy or pretty. You just if you can find ways to win and win on the road, that's all that matters, at the end of the day.
But Marcel Reed, 300, dang near 400 total yards in the game. He balled out, and Marcel Reed is really looking like a Heisman quarterback. But I don't know if I'm ready for that discussion yet.
No. Well, but here's the thing about A&M. They were, the first half, A&M should have put up way more points than just 49. That first half, A&M shot themselves in the foot. They had a chance to take a 21-9 lead. Reed throws a pick. They were just shooting themselves in the foot. And as a result, they were down by 4 points at halftime. But that second half, man, they put LSU in their grave. They didn't give a crap about Mike the Tiger and Brian Kelly and them boys down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
They might have ended Brian Kelly's coaching career for at least a little bit.
It was one of the best turnarounds I've seen in a half. And when was the last time? When was the last time you saw a team go into Tiger Stadium at night where I think they were 20-1 under Brian Kelly and get absolutely obliterated in the second half? Alabama did that a year ago. A&M just joined the party. That was Big win.
Yeah, they're just getting started, and oh my goodness, don't get me started on how nasty that Lamar Jackson juke from Marcel Reed was in the end zone. That was absolutely filthy. Me not being an insane A&M fan can appreciate that. Like that was just so sick. And I've been seeing so many Marcel Reed edits all over TikTok. Like the glaze for this guy is unreal, but he deserves all the attention he is getting right now.
You know who a lot of people have been saying, and I kind of agree with it. You know who Marcel? So obviously, people are going, Lamar Jackson, but he reminds me a lot of a Jaden Daniels, just of his stature. He might not be the most accurate quarterback all the time, but the way he moves is just so slick. Like it looks almost identical. I don't know if you agree with that, but it's
Oh no,
just
I totally agree.
so smooth when he runs. And then obviously for LSU, man, I feel bad for Garrett Nussmeier, man. Just
Free falling down the draft board as we speak, and he sort of not have the year he expected.
Well, we knew the offensive line was a question mark going into the game, but they got absolutely demolished up front. They couldn't block Cassius Howell. Scooby Williams, who we've mentioned before, had a pretty good game. And A&M was just tackling all around. LSU's receivers couldn't get much separation. A&M played pretty good in the secondary. And LSU really couldn't run the ball much. 22, their freshman, looked like he was starting to pick up some ground game there at the beginning, but that slowed down.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Great win for A&M. They got to keep going. They play at Missouri, not this week because they got a bye week, but the following after. I think LSU has a bye week, and then they got to go on the road to Tuscaloosa, which that's going to be a bloodbath.
Then we have the game of the week, Vandy and Missouri. I was so close to getting this one right, but unfortunately, Missouri's quarterback, Bo Pribilla, went down with a nasty leg injury. I do not want anybody to see it. I will not put it on here because I do not if you want to go see it. If you want to go see it, then go see it. But Diego Pavia is making magic happen for these Commodores, and they're off to their best start since 1941.
So I got a question for you for Vanderbilt. So let's say Vanderbilt wins the next 4 games until Tennessee. If Vanderbilt is 10-1, I would argue they're already in the playoffs no matter what. Even if they lose to Tennessee on the road, if they go 10-2 losing to Tennessee, they're in the playoffs no matter what. That's my opinion. Now, if they go 11-1, not only they will be in the playoffs, and not only that, but there will be a huge race in the for the SEC championship if they go 11-1. I don't know if they'll go 11-1, but there should be discussion. And then for Missouri, they're kind of like LSU. I don't want to say they're like LSU now.
They're not LSU's very dysfunctional right now. I think they still have a very solid shot of winning their games in front of them. Looking at the rest of their schedule, you got A&M there, which is it could be close. It won't. I don't know if it will be. Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Arkansas. So they got a little bit of a challenging schedule ahead of them.
But I would be hesitant to put Missouri in the playoff talk right now because a 3-loss Missouri team is not going to get in. I'm sorry. They're
obviously
just
not. No.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Diego Pavia, I think, is still in the Heisman conversation just because he keeps doing his thing. So yeah.
He's got Texas next week. Number 20th Texas. It's going to be an interesting game. Probably one of the games of the week next year for us. I mean, this game of the week next week. Excuse me, not next year. One of the games of the week for us this coming up week.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's certainly ready to. And I think we're ready to move on to next week. Lots of good games ahead of us. Lots of good football. And I really, really want to start out with the sort of a game I can see being interesting. Miami versus SMU. It's being played in Dallas. Ooh. Miami's traveling down to Dallas. SMU has a 3-1 conference record in the ACC. Miami being ranked 10th. They obviously dropped to Louisville. And, I can see where this game would get interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to make this nice and easy and quick. I'm going Miami by at least 17 in this game. I think Carson Beck has a bounce-back game still. I'm going Miami all the way. Give me the big U and Dallas, and they give SMU another loss in ACC play.
SMU lost to Wake Forest. And, Daniel, I know you're watching. I know you're watching. I know you're a big SMU fan. But with the loss to Wake Forest last week, I just cannot see a world where they beat the Hurricanes at home. Yes, it's going to be a close game, I think, in my opinion, just because of what Carson Beck has done in the past. He has shown time and time again that he collapses sometimes. I think Miami gets it done, but it's a lot closer than everybody thinks.
Great prediction. Great prediction.
And, looking at this some more, looking at the slate some more, this USC Nebraska game looks very intriguing to me. It's going to be at Lincoln Memorial Stadium. 6-2 Nebraska, who's 3-2 in Big Ten play, goes in playing the USC Trojans at home. USC is obviously ranked 23rd in the country, and Nebraska is not ranked at all.
Yep.
He just disappeared, guys.
I did. What's up? I had to go help someone.
But yeah.
You're welcome. You know what? Give me Matt Rule, Nebraska, to upset the Trojans in Nebraska.
Really, really, really. Okay.
Give me Dylan Raiola to upset Lincoln Riley and them Trojans of USC.
Yeah. And Matt Rule hasn't had a ranked win in a good while, and it's for good reason. He cannot. He is James Frank. He is the budget James Franklin. He cannot win the big game. He lost to Michigan earlier in the season by 1 point. He got his butt whipped by Minnesota. Give me the USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley is going to run through these Cornhuskers.
Oh wow! I could tell you were thinking something else to say there.
Matt Rule's a traitor. I'm just kidding. And then we go to
How about
Go ahead.
the world's largest cocktail party?
What do you mean?
Georgia and Florida.
Georgia and Florida.
That's this week.
That's this week. I don't see a world where this is interesting,
Yeah.
honestly. It's
You
a
don't?
neutral site game. It's one of those weird games. Why not? Let's cover it. Just firing Billy Napier. The Florida Gators are 3-4. DJ Lagway, 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Gunnar Stockton, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. A great rushing offense from Florida. Florida has a very solid defense. It's being played at a neutral site, so I think many, many things can happen. But I got the Bulldogs taking this one in Jacksonville.
Yeah. In most cases, a Gator would take down Uga the dog because they're really no match for him. But Kirby Smart and them dogs are going to be barking in Jacksonville. And DJ Lagway is just going to be, I don't know. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a murder fest. Give me Georgia by 1 million in Jacksonville. No
Give me
holds
Georgia
barred.
by 1 million. Georgia by 1 million. And then another intriguing game in SEC play before we get to some of the marquee matchups. Sort of warming y'all up a little bit here. California versus Virginia. And I could definitely see a world where this is very, very interesting because of the struggles the Cavaliers have had finishing games.
Yeah, for sure.
It is going to be in Berkeley, California.
Ooh. You know what? The Golden Gophers are at home.
The Golden Bears.
This is prime opportunity. But give me the Cavaliers to go in there and still be ranked inside the top 25. I'm going Cavaliers. Virginia wins.
You got the mascot wrong. It's Golden Bears.
No.
Not the Golden Gophers.
You know what?
But no, I really do look at
They're
this
the same
game,
thing.
and I see a world. I really do see a world where Virginia can struggle. And, talented, California. Cal has a very talented quarterback. And Salapotoli, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Golly! Jaron Kui Sagapolate. True freshman from Hawaii, and he has been playing super well. And obviously, Virginia has looked weak. You know what? Give me the Golden Bears to knock off Virginia. North Carolina was so close last week. I see a weak Virginia Cavaliers team. I think Cal knocks them off. We sort of get a little bit of, Cal humbling Virginia after they've scraped by these past few weeks.
Okay.
I think I just made you speechless.
All right. You made
now
me
some of
speechless. I didn't know what to say.
some of the marquee matchups of the week. We got Vanderbilt and Texas. Texas being at home is given a 70% chance to win this game at DKR.
Woo!
What do you got
Dang.
for this game?
Well, Arch Manning's going to be out with low concussion protocol, and I saw something on Instagram where he got pulled over by a cop. Don't know why he was driving, but, no judgment there. Sark and the Horns are going to be looking for a big win at home. They haven't really had a big win at home all year. I think Ryan Wingo has a breakout game at receiver. I think their backup quarterback for Texas comes in. I think he does pretty well. But I'm going the man of the hour, and Diego Pavia to go into Austin, TU Austin, as a matter of fact, and beat the Longhorns and take Texas completely out of the college football playoff and knock them out of an SEC title race.
And I believe Texas's quarterback is going to be Trey Owens going into the game. And when I look at this matchup, I'll pick against the Commodores sometimes, and then I won't. And then I'll sort of give them a chance. Like, the Commodores have continued to prove me wrong. Week in and week out, they have proved me wrong. And I don't think Texas comes out this one alive if they're struggling against Mississippi State and struggling against Kentucky. I think we get some more Diego Pavia magic. I think the Commodores are going to roll anchor down.
Yeah.
And then we got, sort of the game of the week here. Or not the game of the week. We got Oklahoma and Tennessee. The best ranked matchup, but that's not obviously the game of the week because we got one more game we are going to do. We look at this Tennessee-Oklahoma game. It is going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee. Good old Rocky Top. You got John Mateer, sort of limping to the finish line in a lot of his games. He's not doing very well, not doing so hot right now, not looking like a Heisman quarterback like everybody said he'd be. On the other hand, we got Joey Aguilar absolutely slinging that thing. 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions.
Yeah, got two really good quarterbacks coming in. It's going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee, so they're going to check their Neyland again. I believe it's at 6:30, so it's going to be a night game. You'll see the fireworks and Neyland light up in the Star Night. But Oklahoma comes in, and Tennessee gives Oklahoma a little taste of some SEC ball like they did last year down in Norman, Oklahoma. I'm going Tennessee at home to give Oklahoma their third loss of the season and completely knock them out of contention for an SEC championship and playoff berth.
I think Tennessee's defense is really bad. And you know what you know what happens to bad defenses?
They suck and they lose.
They get shredded. John Mateer has been nothing short of dominant when he's healthy. And I think he's starting to get that way. He sort of had some plays. He showed some flashes against Ole Miss. And, this is a bad defense. It's Knoxville, Tennessee, but old Rocky Top, there's no getting on top of that defense. The defensive coordinator has not gotten to the top of whatever's going on with that defense. Give me the Oklahoma Sooners to win in a shootout.
Wow. Okay. You got Boomer Sooner going to Knoxville. Okay. All right.
And then we got the Big 12. The Big 12. They're going down to the Big 12 for College Game Day. They're going to Salt Lake City, Cincinnati versus Utah.
Who you got?
Well, I see, Utah is being favored by a lot. And when I saw Brenton Sorsby play last week against Baylor, he was shredding our defense. Our defense has been bad all year, keep me in mind, but he's been doing this to defenses all year. Brenton Sorsby has only turned the ball over one time, and their dynamic duo at running back, Evan Pryor and Tyree Walker, they have been dominating defenses on the ground. And then I look at the other side, I look at Devin Dampier. He's looked really good so far too. They got running back Willie Parker. But I look at Cincinnati. They got former A&M receiver Cyrus Allen, right? You're not going to fact check me on that. I think I'm right. Cincinnati's offense has been moving. They have been firing on all cylinders. Give me the Bearcats to stay undefeated in Big 12 play and to take down the Utah Utes.
Wow. Okay, well, I've been on a hot streak of a lot of home teams winning their home games this week. So, Cincinnati, opening week, they lost to Nebraska down in Kansas City on their home field, and things didn't really turn out for them. And then Utah lost to their arch rival in the BYU Mormons down in Utah, and didn't sit well with them. So, man, where's my spider web when I need it?
Spider-Man. Really? Oh, my goodness. It's going to be a scary good week. Yeah. It's going to be a scary good week of football. This is Ethan Mailer. Happy Halloween for all those who celebrate. And this is Ethan Mailer signing off.
Have a great weekend of college football. Spidey out.
Thwip. That's pretty good.